Hi there, my name is Jory Lamb. I'm the CEO and founder of VistaVu Solutions. Over the past 2 years, VistaVu Solutions has been co-innovating with a key customer of ours down in Oklahoma on an IoT solution for managing smart rentals. Our customer serves an old industry in energy. And what the solution does is basically automate the entire workflow from initial scheduling and dispatch all the way out to the field, back home again, all the billing and the follow-up maintenance. We've taken that technological solution to solve real business problems and created an opportunity for our customers to increase the demand for their products and there in doing so increase the profitability and utilization. I think the one thing that VistaVu is really good at is land and expand. Finding ways to get the client up and running to help them move through that very bumpy stage of stabilization as they turn on a new ERP system, and then most importantly, work with them in the optimization phase where we begin to automate much of their business. As a partner at the table, co-innovating with them, making investments with them, we are driving a lot of customer loyalty, and as a result, driving a lot of growth and a lot of revenue. What will drive sales in the future is our ability to advance and automate the daily operations of our customers. It is through IE or Intelligent Enterprise that we will give the customers the automation they're seeking, built off of and extended by the digital core of SAP. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our session today. We're going to be talking about how PE-funded SEF Energy has harnessed AI and industrial IoT to increase stakeholder value. We've got two great speakers with us today. I think you're going to get a lot of great information from. First up, Alan White. He is a technologist, strategist, innovator, and leader with over 20 years of experience in IT. He's currently the VP of Information Technology at SEF Energy. Alan has worked in startups, SMB companies, as well as multinational corporations in varying leadership and technology roles. Alan, glad to have you with us.
Thanks. Pleasure to be here.
And Jory Lamb is the founder and CEO of VistaVu Solutions. Under Jory's leadership, the company has grown to become one of the largest SAP mid-market partners across North America. Jory, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Kara. Pleasure.
We're going to start with you, Alan. And first of all, I'm just going to ask you, who is SEF and what's your company's mission and your company's vision?
Yeah, so essentially SEF, we're a private holding company with a portfolio of US-based technology manufacturing assets really focused on the energy industry. We're really in the business of delivering returns through methodical capital allocation, asset management, and leadership. We have a strong financial backing, conservative investment strategies, and hands-on approach to provide stability and durable long-term growth for our companies. From a kind of vision standpoint, we're really looking to be the best in what we do in the segments and geographies in which that we choose to compete. And how we do that is really, we seek to build a culture of excellence. We really want to provide a meaningful work experience for our employees. And then a fundamental shift for us is really this facilitation of provision of energy to the world. So in many years past, we all grew up in what I'll call an old industry of oil and gas. And we sort of shifted that thinking to, hey, let's think in terms of energy and broaden that scope.
Jory, and talking a little bit about Jory, who is VistaVu?
Yeah, great, Kara. So, well, first of all, we are an extremely proud and happy service provider to SEF. Let's start there. So really thankful and glad that Alan could join us and tell his story. And it's a great one, the story of SEF. I think you guys will really enjoy. So VistaVu Solutions, we've been around for 25 years. We are a system integrator to the mid-market. We provide all of SAP's SME or small mid-size enterprise product portfolio solutions. And it's been a really successful relationship that we've had with SAP we've been able to use their digital core or ERP system and then leverage that into additional functionality that we've built with our own IP built off of IoT integration, and now starting to work, it's early days, but in the AI space as well. So fundamentally, we're a system integrator who's here to help great companies like SEF grow to scale.
And I know you talked about that relationship with SEF. Can you tell us a little bit about how it started, Jory?
Yeah, sure. So it began with a request for proposal, and SEF initiated that back in 2017. And so we were one of several product providers and system integrators to respond. And I think through the process, what was able to differentiate us was, while I think again we have a great solution, it was really the people. And I think we had a very voracious appetite for knowledge. We really wanted to understand their business, where they were headed. Again, they're a private equity funded organization that was accumulating several different entities together and needed a common platform by which to scale off of. And so because of that, I think we took as we do with all of our clients, a very active interest in their success, their growth, their plans, and really just tried to make sure that the solution, both today at that time, but into the future, was the platform that they could continue to leverage off of. So that's how we began.
And Alan, I'll pose the same question to you, really, how the relationship with VistaVu began, but maybe you can touch a little bit on what business challenges maybe you were facing.
Sure. So yeah, being a PE-backed company, SEF is the holding company, and so back in 2016, late 2016, early 2017. SEF made a number of acquisitions, and so we had disparate companies running disparate ERP systems. And so one of the biggest business challenges was, hey, at a bare minimum, like we need to be running, F&A, the core critical business, all within the same system. And so that was number one, I think, for us was, hey, this is not efficient. It's not cost effective. If we're focused on returns, we essentially have 4 ERP systems that we're running for the same company. That was probably the biggest challenge we faced at that time back then.
And we talked a lot about innovation. And Alan, how is innovation really incorporated as part of your overall strategy?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think, I could give you what I'll call the cliche answers to this of, hey, we have an innovation department and it's really cool and all that, but that's not reality. And anybody who tells you that, I would question their ability to innovate. For us, it's fundamentally part of our DNA. It's in everything we do. We tend to take the approach of you can't force innovation, but you can certainly quash it, right? Through overly burdensome processes, overly burdensome rules, overly burdensome, hey, don't do this type approach. So we very much embrace creativity and experimentation as a business process itself. So one of the biggest things we look for in employees is the ability to be really highly adaptable and comfortable with constant change and a willingness to experiment. So there are folks who they struggle with change, they struggle with being adaptable, and that's okay. There's a role for them too, but we're really after folks of, hey, we may be going north today, but tomorrow we're turning east, and that's the direction we're going tomorrow.
And Jory, we heard Alan touch on some of the business challenges that the SEF was facing and how the relationship with VistaVu began. But from your perspective, how do you think you've been able to help them achieve their vision and support them on their digital journey?
Yeah, no, again, maybe I'll just start with paying compliments where they should be, and that's, as a supplier, as a vendor, we can want to partner all day long, but we can only be a partner if the customer wants to partner. So it doesn't really matter what we want. It's really about what they want. And so leading by example, Alan's a very thoughtful strategist, IT leader, and he immediately, I think, saw the value of the digital core in his application landscape. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Alan, but and brought us to the table as a partner. Like, just open the door. And I want to give you a specific example. And Alan, you can edit this out if this isn't going to work for you. We'll make sure that we just bleep all this out. But these guys, again, they've got a great vision, they've got a great plan, they've got great people, and the innovation, like you said, just pervades. It's not a department, it just is. But every year they're setting out, their business goals, their OKRs, they're moving forward with a plan of what they need to achieve departmentally and then organizationally. And right from the onset, he invited us into understanding what their strategic plan was as an organization, not just as IT. And by bringing us to the table and giving us that opportunity, it creates a dialogue that's different than if we are simply a vendor customer type relationship. So I think when we come full circle to what we've been able to do is we've been able to come to the table as a partner and bring some of our strengths, and Alan has facilitated a lot of that between our organization and himself and the rest of his executive team.
And Alan, I see you nodding in agreement.
Yeah, the one thing that I'll kind of add to that is most relationships you have with, and Jory refers to VistaVu as a supplier, and we view them more as a partner and an integral part of our business. Most times you start out a relationship with a supplier, it's a transactional relationship and it stays transactional. It takes a lot of trust and commitment from both sides to take it beyond that into a true partnership of, hey, we're including you as part of our business planning process. We're sharing with you our goals, our metrics, and what we're holding our own employees accountable to. That facilitates a much deeper understanding of our organization from VistaVu's standpoint. And it's rare that occurs. I would say that's probably a 20% of the time is when you get to that actual relationship level where it's a, hey, like, we need to have a very transparent conversation about one of our business goals. Here's what it is. You guys shoot holes in it and tell us where we're missing the boat. So it's asking for direct feedback and being vulnerable to a third party, essentially, to go, hey, tell us what we're doing wrong here and be direct about it.
Enjoy that.
I think that cuts both ways. Sorry, Kara. I think that cuts both ways. I think, again, for us, and for me personally, it's really important. I mean, one of our goals is customer for life. Like, this isn't a sprint, it's a marathon, and we want to make sure that our customers are excited, 10 years from now, still working with us as they were the day they first, stepped into the relationship. So, I think we are radically transparent as an organization. We're not afraid to say, hey, we're not perfect. We are absolutely human, and we're going to do a lot of things well and a lot of things right, and really assist companies with a great vision and a great strategy like SEF to get forward. But sometimes we're going to blow it, and when we do, we'll own it and we'll do whatever it takes to make it right. So I think, again, it's the kind of relationship we formed with SEF and with a lot of our customers is really, like Alan said, it's based on a mutual trust and a mutual transparency.
Alan, I'll switch a little bit now. I do want to touch on, AI and industrial IoT. So if you can tell me how you've leveraged AI and industrial IoT to increase your stakeholder value.
Yeah, so if we think back to when we first started down this path and, with our acquisitions 2016 into 2017, our objective back then was to say, hey, we really need to get on board a single ERP system. And one of the visions we had back then was, hey, we need to think beyond just an ERP system, right? We need to think in terms of how do we build out a digital ecosystem that is tied together all the way from our customers to our back end corporate functions. And so we made a very deliberate, conscious decision of, hey, everything that we do, we're going to build it and create it with that in mind. And so we started to develop IoT sensors out at the edge for what we do for our customers, with the conscious thought of the data from these sensors is going to tie into our ERP system, and we're going to leverage it to drive data-based decisions, models, predictive analysis, the whole 9 yards as we go forward. So AI and really ML as well, it's, for us, it's like milk and bread. It's a daily thing. We literally use it, consume it day in, day out. We think about it. Hey, what could we do differently here? How could we do this? For our stakeholders specifically, so that usage of technology, it really does three things. So it obviously generates higher returns for them, significantly lower costs to implement, so lower investments needed, and I would say probably the biggest aspect is just faster speed to market. In today's world, speed to market is key, and I would say for us, that's one thing we are light years ahead of our competitors in speed to market.
So where is your business headed now, and where does VistaVu fit in?
Yeah, so prior to 2020, our business was in a good spot when 2020 and the pandemic hit. Obviously, it was rough for everybody. Really forced us to become very streamlined, very efficient, accelerate a number of what I would call longer term initiatives and visions we had in the pipeline, things that were, I would say, hey, this will be a 6 to 12 month deal for us to do. We turned that into a 6 to 12 week effort, just because the value of it was right in front of us of, hey, if we don't do this now, like it's going to be a huge gap for us. And so in that thought process, we went directly to VistaVu and said, hey, we need you guys to work with us in a very flexible manner here, and here's our thought process around it. Here's the outcomes we think we're going to get out the backside of this. And Jory and his team were all on board with, hey, we'll do whatever we need to do to make you guys successful through this. And so that forced creativity, necessity is the mother of all inventions. It really accelerated investments in technologies for us that's paid off as we sort of come out the backside of this thing. So much so that our business picked back up to where we have record market share at this point that nobody was expecting. And so we have what I'll call good problems on the other side of this.
And I like that phrase, forced creativity, because that's probably what sums it up the best. And Jory, you would probably agree that you saw a lot of that with the pandemic and people sort of scrambling and timelines and things like that.
Yeah, I think, a couple thoughts about the pandemic for us. So we've been around for 25 years. And again, not to equate this to anything we've seen ever before, but we've certainly lived through the dot-com boom bust, the global recession, 2007, 8, 9, depending on which year you were most affected. We've been through multiple oil and gas ups and downs. And at one time in our illustrious career, we used to sell software into the cattle industry and went through BSE, or what's known as mad cow disease. So we've gone through almost every imaginable downturn that you could find. So, for us, what's really critical on this is, in these times, which have been extremely challenging for many of our customers, is we got to get really close to them. We got to do whatever we need to do collectively to get to the other side, because If our customers don't get to the other side, we don't get to the other side. So we are all about, as we are all about making sure that in this moment, whatever they need. Now, for innovation, it's an exciting time. I mean, if you're in tech, innovation abounds, and it's accelerating, which is kind of cliche because it's always accelerating. But the technology today is so ubiquitous that the idea of people hand bombing information into a computer, or a laptop, or even a phone is getting antiquated. And so we were really excited to work with Alan and his team to introduce more of the newer technologies, the IoT, diving or dipping our toe in the AI area. And what we saw was, and what we're seeing is, not only efficiencies that are being driven through the technologies, but changes in business model. And I think what's really exciting that I sit back and look at SEF is, yes, they are absolutely generating those efficiencies. They are creating an environment that's safer for their people and their customers to go to work through some of this technology, but they're also changing the way that business is being done. And I think that's really helping to set them apart from the rest of their competition. And as a private equity owned company, I mean, eventually the day will come when they're going to need to exit that investment. And I think SEF will be sitting in a really enviable position because they have differentiated or separated themselves through this technology and are starting to change the business model.
And Alan, you may have touched on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, the one sort of comment I'll add there to what Jory is saying is, the other thing the pandemic sort of brought to the fold with with a little bit of retrospect. I know we're still sort of on the backside of it. Is it really exposed, through intention or not, really the true humanity and human natures of organizations that we work with. So something we saw very directly was how people within those organizations, how they truly are, right? And it was an eye-opening thing in terms of, there are companies that are out there to help you, to partner with you, and there are others that are out there for transactional matters, right? It's, hey, this is what it is. Sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. And so for us, a big thing coming through it was, hey, we've really seen, the capability of human nature in general, and just with what VistaVu did with us through that, it's a tribute to their company of, hey, there's this consistent ethos throughout the employees there, and it's a very positive one.
So what would you say, Alan, some of the best practices or lessons that you maybe have learned along the way? And I know you touched on a little bit of that, but if you can expand.
Yeah, I would say focus first and foremost on developing meaningful relationships. So those are the foundation upon which everything is built. If you don't have a meaningful relationship that is built on trust and understanding, all you have is a transactional relationship. I go to the grocery store and I buy groceries, and that's a transactional relationship, and it works for what I need it. But if you're really, really focused on, hey, we want to make a meaningful difference here in what we do, there has to be valued relationships there as part of that, and really being deliberate in moving that forward. It involves difficult conversations at times, and if you're not okay having those difficult conversations at times, it's just going to stagnate. And so with VistaVu, they were always open to difficult conversations, knowing, hey, when we come out the backside of this difficult conversation, it'll be in a positive way. And so for us, that was a big thing. And then just do everything with a healthy curiosity. So we're always asking the questions of, hey, I wonder if, or how do we blank? We tend not to approach things with a, we can't do that, right? It's always, how would we do that? So really experiment, And failure is okay. It's going to happen. That's the reality of the world, and you learn from it, you pivot, and you keep going.
Jory, what is next for the relationship with SEF?
Yeah, I mean, again, we've exchanged a lot of pleasantries here. I mean, obviously, we're big fans of SEF, and I think they're fans of VistaVu. Fundamentally, it's a value relationship. They are a private equity owned business, and they need to drive a return for their investors. So for us, it's, areas that excite me about the future with SEF is a continuation of what's, I think, started, which is working with them to further leverage technology to drive change in the business model. And by driving change in the business model, I believe they're going to continue to separate themselves from a market share. If we talk about pure technology itself, we have a mantra at VistaVu. We call it NTA, never type again. So we're bringing out products all the time that is it is removing the need for people to key, rekey, key again, search, hunt, peck for that information. And we're very excited to partner with groups like, and with Alan and his team like SEF, because they're giving us the opportunity to showcase what's possible in the intelligent enterprise. So it's, the digital core is where everything ultimately extends from. But what really has me excited is the opportunity to automate more and more of our customers' businesses. And we're doing that through the partnerships we have with SAP and building some of our own intellectual property, and working closely with customers with a lot of vision, a lot of foresight, like SEF, to make that happen.
Any other takeaways you may want to pass along for anybody joining our session?
I think, from my standpoint is, really focus on outcomes. For us, if there wasn't a clear outcome of what we were doing, we questioned why we were doing it. So everything we do within our digital ecosystem, we ask the question, why are we doing that? Is it driving towards a specific outcome that we have? Is it focused on, or will it generate a return for us? Will it, is a piece of automation going to help things become more efficient, streamline costs, so on and so forth? So for us, if there's not a specific outcome, we're sort of on the fence about it. We will experiment all day long on things that we think, yeah, we can get an outcome of that. We don't yet know how we're going to get there, but we know that's the outcome that we can achieve. And then, lastly, people. We are very protective of our culture, who we hire, who we bring on board. We have very low tolerance for low performers. So they tend not to last long here. We try to avoid hiring folks like that way. So we're very focused on, hey, people that are adaptable, people that can pivot with us. And then the last piece I would say is, as you find partners in the space, like, make sure they're flexible. So that was one of our key things with VistaVu is, hey, your flexibility and adaptability lines up with ours, and that's important. So that's what I would say.
Okay. All right. Well, we are just about out of time, but I appreciate you both, and I think you had some great points. This was a really interesting conversation. So thank you very much, Alan White and Jory Lamb, for being with us today.
Thanks.
Kara.
And thank you all for joining us.